We praise God for everybody on today. How's everybody doing on YouTube, on TikTok? We give all praise and honor once again to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives life is able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we're thankful and grateful for all the stuff that she's doing to help out with the health of the diaspora. And we thank you guys for supporting her in such ambitions as to make sure that we remain healthy. Hello, everybody. Shalom, peace. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Mies? How you doing? Or Misi? Mies? I keep messing you up. I'm gonna get you one of these days. How you doing, Minister? How you doing? Drea, Sister Monica, Narrow Path. Oh, you're not seeing or hearing anything as well? I don't know what's going on. Let me try something. Oh, that would probably be it. Let's just try this. Let's try this. Okay, can you see or hear me now on TikTok? Can you see me? Can you hear me? How you doing, Samir? You said you're not seeing on TikTok either. Trying to change the signal up and everything. If they have it straight up, but you can't see or hear me. Okay, now you can. Okay, that was my fault. Bad signal that I was connected to. Had it on the wrong one. Okay, my bad. Come on in. Water's fine. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? Come on in. The water's fine. Sorry about that. Shalom to everybody. Peace. So let's go ahead and get this Q&A started. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Let's go ahead and get this in for the next little bit. I have to try and finish about 8:35, 8:40 or so. Make sure I tend to the family as we are recovering, and make sure that my son, I'm going to give him a little bit of something, see how his little body responds to some food, give him certain food, see how he does. How you doing, Darius? Appreciate y'all for coming in. Any questions, comment, concern, anything about what we talked about today, what we talked about in our series, things just in general, I will do my best to be able to answer as best as I can. Hey, how you doing? Auntie Marion's in the house. Sister Kimberly. Hopefully all is well with everybody. Hopefully all is well. Those of you who are listening to the live session today, we're going to be obedient. We're not going to leave anything in. We're going to leave on empty, so to speak. We're going to get to our destination and make sure that we're on E when we get there. Every last bit that's for us, so that we're going to empty it out. Praise God. So that we can be filled in again. How you doing, R. Gray? Oh, of course, Sister Mary. You know how we do, big sis. We're just appreciative to have you in our presence. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Before I go, I could go into something, I guess even from the last time, but it's been a little bit at the time, right? So any questions, comments, or concerns? I don't think we've been on since Monday evening. We did do Tuesday before my body couldn't take it anymore. But we did do Tuesday Patreon session. You said you were asking about the firmament and if water is above us and are we under a dome and the earth is flat. So I will show you how the Bible describes it. Thank you, I greatly appreciate it. You said you want to know if we are lesser beings than Satan. We are most definitely not. The devil has actually lost his luster. That one's pretty simple for me to just outright do. Not saying your question is simple, but that one's actually pretty easy for me to get real quick, and then I'll get right back to you, Sister Monica. When it comes to the devil lost his authority, and the devil has been kicked out, as Revelation chapter 12 tells us, and the devil now is trying his best to attack us. Now, the devil has some tactics that we are not on his level to use, for sure, or even to come against, and that's why we need not try to fight against him or war against him. We need to just be obedient. But let me show you what Hakwaya, or what we would call the firmament or the earth and everything according to the Bible would look like. This is usually a pretty great reference. We were actually using this a while ago when we had a series where we talked about, what the earth looked like. So this is pretty great And if you're on YouTube, I'll just have to describe it. I apologize. But if you were to look up, what the firmament look like, and you were to see on maybe on Google Images, right? Google Image, and you were to look at it, it should look like they should have it in a sphere, even though we don't believe that the Earth is a sphere per se, but they should have it in a sphere, and they should have it to where you can see the choir in like a half dome shape or whatever. And then you should be able to see, where the sky is, things like that, and the way that the Bible describes it. Now, this isn't perfect, right, per se, right? Baba Kasha. It isn't perfect per se, right? But this is basically the choir and what it looks like. How you doing, Minister Joseph? And how you doing, Brother Jaron? And if I missed this, Nadine, there you go. How you doing? So you'll see on here, basically, if we're talking about the choir, it's actually not that difficult for us to be able to see it. You'll have the sky. So the way they have the sky, I would say what we consider the sky, put it a little further down. But as far as where the sun, the moon, the stars reside, that's biblically accurate. They're supposed to be inside the choir. So this makes us have to realize that the choir is probably a lot bigger and more vast than what we think. This person is just trying to get you to see a comprehension of Earth. But the stars, the moon, the sun, right? So therefore the universe would be inside the choir. And there's actually a lot to be said. This is theoretical, and it's a personal theory. So I will admit that from the jump. But it's actually easy to see, very theoretically speaking, how you might even have some issues with people trying to figure out how many stars are getting confused, because I don't think anybody has ever actually thought about the fact that you could be seeing reflections of stars off of the choir. And even this whole thing as far as the speed of light moving and stuff, I've shown you guys that before, or told you guys that how that doesn't even necessarily equate. And then you see Sha'al or Sheol, or what you would call hell, is actually something that's deep within the earth or at the bottom of the earth. And so these things that we're seeing, they look a lot different. And then you have, that water that's even underneath, right? And when the earth was created, the water came up from underneath. Right. So even, I don't know how much the clouds existed. The clouds aren't really talked about in the existence of creation from the beginning, but you can see very clearly in looking at it, if you're able to see what I'm seeing. But the clouds, they would be in the sky for sure. But if clouds are exactly what we're taught they are, which is they're supposed to be when the water evaporates and goes up, well, at one point there would not have been any clouds. So at least not as we know them, or they wouldn't have done what we did. Is hell a physical place? Hell is, we're given a location of hell in the Bible several times. So we know that it would be underneath the ground, underneath the earth. And it's something separated from the heavens. We know that there's a chasm that goes between hell and the heavens. So there's a lot of space in between the two. So we're given a location. Now, is that location, some people might try to argue, is that something that's more so supposed to be spiritually thinking only? Maybe so, but you guys recognize, remember, a great answer for that is, a great way to think about that, if I might say it that way. How you doing, Sister Tracy? How you doing, Miss Pierce? I'm going to try and have somebody reach out to you, Miss Pierce. I know getting sick and everything is thrown off, but we're supposed to be making sure we're checking on for you. And I need to get you some information as far as just stuff in general on some of this stuff, but somebody should be reaching out to you very soon. Hopefully tomorrow. If not by tomorrow, I'm going to double check, because I haven't really talked to them about it. So I'm going to double check on some stuff and then make sure they know to reach out to you. And how you doing, babe? My wife was on the Island of Maya. You can always check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Where were we at? So with the clouds, it was hell, a physical location. One thing we can recognize, though, there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And everybody who's going to exist forever, how you doing, Brother Taryn? Everybody who's going to exist forever, they're going to actually have to be in this new. They're going to have a glorified body. They're going to have to actually have something that's physically given to them that can last forever. Just like we were supposed to have glorified bodies from the beginning forever until sin entered, right? So we're going to have physical glorified bodies to be in when heaven and earth come to meet together, right? That's what the Bible says. So we'll be living on a physical earth with heaven coming to meet the earth, and there will be no Hakwai. Remember, the Hakwai will be rolled back like a scroll, right? And it will come down to meet with the earth. Sorry, hold on one second. All right. Thank you for pinning that, Sister Nadine. Appreciate it. I didn't see that at all. Thank you. Where was I at? Water. Oh, bodies. So the physical, the physical. So the heavens is going to come down and meet with the physical earth. It's on the other side of the choir, right? So there's going to be manifestation that happens. The two meet together. So you'll have to have a glorified body to be able to be on the earth, a physical place. How you doing, Springtime? Thanks for the love. Appreciate you. So if that's going to happen in that regard, you're also going to have a body that can last forever to be able to be in Shalom forever. So, we're going to actually have to deal with those things forever. Yeah. So great question. So yeah. So hell, and it's even described as a physical place, the physical pain, with a body that can feel the pain but can endure the pain forever. So we would say that yes, it would be. It has a physical location. We would definitely say that it's going to be a real place. Those things are going to be there together. I'm sorry, Sage. You have many questions. Please tell me this recorded. See if you answered them. Yeah, it's recorded. I'm not sure if we answered yours or not, though. How you doing, aliens? If I didn't say so already. So yeah, so great questions. Great questions about that. Any other questions, comments, concerns? We still got a little bit of time left. You praying you want the remnant? But not only that, pray that you be in Yashda, right? The remnant is something that is still out there in the world. Now, if you're in the remnant, you still can be saved, but the remnant's still out there in the world and not together. So all of us that aren't together, that aren't coming together, we would be considered to be the remnant. Oh, okay. Praise God. But if you have something else, never mind. If you never mind. If you're busy, then you can't. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hey, how you doing, Brother Henry? Do you have to light a Shabbat candle? Do you have to? No. The way it should be lit, the menorah, I guess, if you're talking about, there are certain ways to light it, and it is something that enhances the experience for sure. But yeah, is it a requirement that you have to have one? No, right? That we don't have to have one. Like some of these things are just best, and it's something as you start getting more into culture, just like you would go buy a lamp, or you might go buy a certain type of candle, or you might buy a scented candle and stuff like that. At some point, you'll probably just start getting some of this stuff because of the culture. It just kind of starts happening for you in those ways. You start wearing certain things, you start doing certain things with your hair, you start, reciting certain things, you start using certain language. It's culture. It's culture. Great question, though. How you doing, Shoe Queen? Thank you again for the love. Appreciate y'all. How you doing, Sister Akita? Any questions, comments, or concerns? Great questions to start us off with. Great questions to start us off with. Praise y'all. You said you've heard that the Bible comes from altered stories of Kemet. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens like that. Um, it comes from this weird place. I would say it comes. I don't even know if it's say it comes from a weird place. Well, yeah, I mean, it comes from a place that's weird. I have to be careful when I say weird. It comes from a place that's not necessarily accurate. First and foremost, a lot of people who say that what we're doing with Israel, they actually do with Kemet. Um, and this is what I mean by that. Pretty much, Kemet is a place that is highly looked at by people with Eurocentric values, and they actually are thinking more of like an Arabic type of Kemet, or even thinking of a Greek type of Kemet. They don't even think about Kemet or even where Kemet came from when we're talking about Kush or what people now call Nubia. Um, so I'm sorry. So it's for where we water, not space. I don't comprehend the question. I'm sorry. Can you say it for me again? Um, okay, narrow path. I'll try. I don't do very great with DMs. Did you send me a text and I just not disregard it? If I disregard the text, I'm sorry. If you can text me, it might work better for me to get back in contact with you, especially to catch up on all the stuff I'm behind on. If you don't mind. If so, I'll try to get to it ASAP. But I DMs don't always work that great for me. Sha'al or Sheol is hell. What was the question? I'm sorry. Oh, Kemet. So Kemet, people do this with Kemet. Kemet, a lot of times, is the only place that people even think about with Africa. So since people don't think about Kush, they don't think about, and when I say Kush, we're talking about even some places that you would call Middle Eastern, but they don't think about Kush. Um, we don't think about Zululand. We don't think about uh, the Mbaku. We don't think about Ghana, not just modern Ghana. We don't think about ancient Ghana, which is Mali, which is Timbuktu. We don't think about the land in which Nzinga would come from, modern day Angola. We don't think about a lot of different things, right? You said it's not the scripts that mimic Kemet, it's the doctrines people make based off of the scripts. So people say that, but once again, we have to be careful. For example, right, because I'm part Kemetic. So if I might speak on behalf of something that my people would hold, um, people will say stuff, for example, about Horus, and they'll say that Horus is where you get Jesus from. Now, if you go by off of some of the Greek versions of, or the Egyptian stuff, right, and even Arabic stuff that now plays a part in that, and now stuff that's been kind of mixed and matched with a whole bunch of stuff all over the place, right? I have E1B1A blood, so if by blood you want to talk about, I'm not sure if you want to talk about by tribe, Shwi, so that's also an Israelite tribe. If you want to talk about even Anakituya from the American side, and the people that would have had to come over to translate when came over with Christopher Columbus, you can talk about that as well. So yes, I could, and even modern Israelites who don't necessarily like to, they still have to call me the House of Israel as well. But getting back to it, if I can, if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna try and stay more focused on this part. Um, so if we're dealing with this, okay, Sister Tracy, I'll see if I can try to get to it in a second. Where were we at? I'm sorry. So we're dealing with it, like, for example, the Eye of Horus, right? People talk about Horus. If people talk about Horus, and people talk about, so for example, if people want to talk about Horus, people will say, well, they just took that and they made the Jesus story. And so what they'll say is, well, Horus had disciples, Jesus had disciples. Well, Horus had 16 disciples that were men, right? And then he had 4 disciples that were spirits. All right, so it's different. And to say that just because people have disciples, they're the same, that doesn't make sense. Then they'll try to say, well, he was of a birth, but he wasn't of a virgin birth. What happens with Horus is, and this is where you get your obelisk from. This is George Washington copied off of this. And y'all don't even know it. Columbia is on top of the Congress building. Everybody that comes out is supposed to be a child of Horus. Now that's copying off of it, but people don't know that they got the same thing in Memphis. They got the same thing in Georgia. They got the same thing in Cali. But people don't see them copying off of it, right? Got the same thing in France. People don't see them copying off of it. I think they got the same thing in Swiss, and people don't see them copying off of it. But nevertheless, what people will do is they'll say, okay, well, a virgin birth, so that's where they got Horus from. No, if you know even in the Book of the Dead, right? But even if you want to go to other scripts, if you know about where Horus comes from, this is the story, is that you have Osiris, you have Isis, and then you have Horus or Heru, right? And Osiris was supposed to be the main Netzer, because in Kemet we don't have gods, right? Kemetic people don't do gods. Gods are Germanic deities, right? You said probably most major cities have obelisk and pyramid. Yeah, same kind of mindset, right? So Osiris is the big, he's the OG, so to speak. He's the big Netzer, what you would call a god. And then Isis, she's married to him. The other Netzers don't like Osiris. So they come together and they kill him and they put his body in many different parts. Isis, half woman, half bird. That's important to remember. She's soaring all over the place. She can't find her husband. She starts realizing that the pieces of her husband are all over the place. So this is what she does. She says, okay, I'm going to put him back together so I can bring him back to life. She cannot find all his body parts though. So she makes what you call today an obelisk. That's what an obelisk is, a mock penis, or it is a fake phallus, or it is a dildo, if you will. She puts it in place of where the phallus is supposed to go. And depending on what version you therefore go to, she either rides the obelisk after Horus has come to life as a zombie, or he's still dead, but she rides the obelisk because she wants to have a child by him. She gets impregnated through the obelisk. Once she gets impregnated through the obelisk, she is pregnant and she gives birth to Heru, right? And if you notice how that works, even with Netzers, even Heru almost gets impregnated by his whole uncle. So it's a whole different version, right? You said God is not a name, it is a title. The Creator told his name to Moses on Mount Sinai. Yahweh is his name. Yes, Yahweh. Or even if you're going to say Yahweh, Yahweh would be his name, correct? Elohim would be a title. God is a Germanic deity. Once again, God is a title for Germanic deities. You can make a god out of anything, right? Good day means God day, a period of time in which a god will show up. Good morning is the morning of the god during a certain time the sun is. God speed, good speed is the speed in which the god comes. Goodbye literally means God be with you. Whichever God you want to be with you, you should be careful of what you ask. So yes, you were mixing and matching cultures. If we want to go there all the way, Yahweh Elohim, At Sham, Ravak Hakudash, at Yahweh, at Abba, at Yahweh, etc. Right? I'm with you. So thank you so much. Right? Now that that's clear, and now that we got that out of the way, right? Thank you so much for the correction. Let us go back to what we were talking about. So basically, Osiris is Isis impregnated, necrophilia. Isis then has Heru, and Heru is now everybody's talking about they want the eye of Horus and this and that and whatever, right? It's a different context, a different culture, right? But people don't read up on that. They just say, oh, it was copied off of, right? That's not a virgin birth. Now, if you want to see who copied off of it, you got to look at George Washington loses his phallus, right? Due to syphilis. He dies because of it. He has a seed in the ground, right? Where the testicles have seed. And then out of that comes an obelisk. On top of the Congress building, right, is the modern day Isis. You call her Columbia. She is a deity, or what you would call a goddess from Greek mythology. They put her on top of there. That's why it's Washington, District of Columbia. Nothing's supposed to be built higher than her, because she needs to fly around and find her husband's parts, put them together, get on top of his obelisk, and then she goes back on top of the Congress building. She gives birth, and any child that comes out of her is a modern day Heru. They come out of Congress. You're dealing with a religion, right? That's why these judges are priests that wear priestly robes. You're dealing with somebody's religiosity. Even Christianos or Christianity, which, by the way, according to, if you know how this stuff goes, your religion, but you don't read up on this religion that you call yourself a United States citizen in, look up the Treaty of Tripoli. They even have a song, the Marine singer, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. And when you look up what the Treaty of Tripoli says in the 11th section, it will say to you clearly that America is not, nor has it ever been, a Christian nation, because that's not what your founding fathers believed in. But if that's what your father is, and but people who are schooling you on your fathers, you might just go with whatever they told you. I'm out. Right. So it's a lot of different stuff like that. So people will say, yeah, so they stole this, or they stole the doctrine, or because of the 42 confessions of Ma'at, which, by the way, yeah, they go a lot like the 10 Commandments, right? And by the way, people don't even use that correctly. The 42 confessions of Ma'at are supposed to go like this. You wake up in the rising, you say all 42 confessions, you confess all 42 laws. Then you go through your day, and then at the end of the day, you confess 42 laws again. And then you say to yourself, did I keep what it was that I confessed in between? Right? So people will do this stuff and then say, oh, the doctrine, or oh, the way it's kept, or oh, no, like you got to know the culture. You said, sir, I did research. I think the sky above is the firmament. The sky is being included in the heavens. Sure, we don't call it the firmament because that would be based off of Uranus, right? Uranus is the god of the sky, or he is the god of war. That's because when you have the Greeks that put everything together, basically the Big Bang is Gaia, right? When they redid it and they tried to put creation story again together, they said that Gaia is the Big Bang. In the beginning was nothing. Gaia, where the Big Bang comes from. Out of her, she had two sons, Uranus, or firmament, and Neptune. So Neptune is the lower seas, right? Uranus, or the god of the sky, or the firmament is the upper seas. And then Gaia has sex with her own son, Uranus, or firmament. And then out of that come the gods that come on the land. So yeah. You said sky, space, and heaven. So if we're talking about this, when it's talking about Hakwaya, yes, Hakwaya is talking about this firm place, but also is describing part of the sky. Sure, there gets to be a part of the Hakwaya where you can't get past it because it was made to separate the upper seas from the lower seas. So yes, if we're talking about the Hakwaya, or what you're trying to call the firmament, we can definitely have that conversation a little more and be more involved. But once again, we're talking about something that's cultural, right? We're talking about a specific cultural mindset. So, and it doesn't say in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens. There are heavens, but when we talk about what we call Badashat Aleph at Aleph, for which you know is Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, because Badashat means something different than Genesis. Nevertheless, if we're talking about Badashat, or what you call Genesis, right? It says Badashat bara Elohim at Shamayam at Aratz, or in beginning Elohim created the heaven, singular, and the earth. There are heavens, but this one particular heaven is what he created. We see how the waters are formed, and then before the earth is hardened, we see how gas, liquid, solid, right? Without form and void, darkness moves upon the face of the deep, the waters come apart, that's gas, liquid, and then solid happens in the heaven first. On the third day, the earth comes up, that's solid from the bottom, right? So, and the solid from the top, that hardens out of what's been happening, right? The water separating, and out of that water separated, you get this hard surface, right? Right, so the Aquia and the sky and all that, right, is a heaven. That's why literally you breathe in heaven. The kingdom of heaven is in you. It's not just a spiritual statement, but it's also a physical statement, right? When you breathe in and out, you breathe in heaven. This is why you should be careful what you pollute, because you are polluting heaven, and therefore, if you're not careful, you are breathing in a polluted or a perverted version of heaven. Right? So when it says the heaven and the earth, you said Milky Way galaxy. What about the Milky Way, if you don't mind my asking? What about the Milky Way? Are you saying that I'm saying that the Milky Way cannot exist? Because as I was saying earlier, this is somebody trying to get you to focus on the earth per se, but Hakwaya is much bigger than what we make it out to be. Now, if you're talking about the Milky Way or what the stars look like or things like that, I would ask the question, have you ever had a telescope big enough to see the Milky Way? And I can't stay on here too much longer. Maybe we can start on this tomorrow evening, because I got to get ready for class. We got marriage class in a little bit, and I got to try and do something for some food for family real quick. But have you ever, what is the furthest telescope that's ever gone? The black space is space. You know, the further away you get, even though, right? But just a question for you, just a question. And some of it probably might be on the quiet stuff as well. I'm not gonna act like I have every answer to every question here. But question for you, what is the furthest that any telescope has ever gone? Right? If we were right, when we talk about the Milky Way, what is the furthest telescope that has ever gone. People say, oh, well, we have telescopes that can see, blah, blah. They can see in one direction. Some of these telescopes can't even see meteors and stuff until they're coming past, or I'm sorry, comets and things until they're even coming past the Earth or coming past the solar system. So they obviously aren't catching everything. But once again, we got to ask the question: what is the furthest a telescope's ever been? We just got to have an honest conversation, real quick. It's going to be short because I got to get ready to take my leave. People say the black hole. No, the furthest a telescope has ever gone physically is no further than like the 8th planet, maybe the 7th. There's never been a telescope that's gone any further. So question, if they tell you that we're like a little speck in the Milky Way, how do they know what the Milky Way looks like? This class can be on Zoom for marriage class. If you need the link, I'll send it to you. Because I know I got sick and everything, I might not have sent it. But you got to ask yourself, what is the furthest that a telescope's ever gone? See, let's not make it so esoteric or make it so mystical that it can no longer be practical. What is the furthest a telescope has ever gone? If it's only gone to about Uranus, and they tell you that you're supposed to be a small speck in many galaxies or in many different solar systems that are in the Milky Way, that's supposed to be this big, that's in the universe this big, and they're telling you they know what all these stars look like, right? Then question, how do they know what the Milky Way looks like? You know, the Milky Way is not based off of a scientific rendition. You know, nobody's ever seen the Milky Way. If you've ever seen any picture of the Milky Way that's on a telescope or that's supposed to be on there's no telescope that can go that far. So the only way that they look like that they know what the Milky Way looks like is before there were even telescopes the way you know them, there was somebody who drew a painting of something called the Milky Way, or what you now call the Milky Way. And they took that and they made renditions of it, 3D renderings, and that's what you've seen. NASA has admitted this, by the way. I'm not coming up with something. So I'm not here to tell you that stars don't exist. I'm not here to tell you that solar systems don't exist. I'm here to tell you that they don't know what this stuff looks like. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing are renditions. They're artist renditions. They're artist renditions based off of theories, and these theories are supposed to be based off of natural law and universal law. And so even though I may or may not agree with all that, let's just give you that. But you still can't tell me what it looks like. Somebody drew a picture of it, and that picture has become something that you see every day. But you got to just think of it as far as common sense. There's never been a telescope that's high enough, right, that goes high enough that you can see all of the planets in the solar system at the same time. From an upper view, or if you want to call it the lower view, right? Or if you want to call it east, west, I don't know, in space, which direction, if direction even means anything up there, right? But if that's what we're doing, then nobody, if we could barely see, we couldn't get a telescope to go straight up high enough. Y'all know this, right? Like it's not just because it's actually hard to get through a certain surface tension that's up there. I'll leave it at that. So they can't even go that high. So they have to go to the side, but they couldn't even get that high if they wanted to show you this thing of space that they say is basically, this is what space looks like. They can't see every star. They can't see every direction. This is an artist rendering. These are guesses that are made. You're saying, so I'm saying all the stuff is inside of a dome. I'm saying all the stuff is inside of a quad. This particularly is trying to tell you that it's dome shaped to try and get you to see the correlation of what it is to Earth. The reality of it is that the Earth is something that has many different things, many different stars and stuff, and the stars and all these things would be inside of a quad. Even scientists would say that there's something they get to that they try to say is white, and therefore they don't know what's past it, right? So at some point we have to say there's something that's limiting. They also admit to you there's just stuff that they have tried to shoot nuclear weapons through, and they can't get the nuclear weapons through, correct? So at some point there's something that we're pushing through. So whether you want to argue as far as this artist rendering is perfect or not, which I told you it wasn't from the beginning, if you weren't here, that's okay. But I'm trying to tell you that there's some things that obviously the Bible's making some kind of sense. Even in creation, people don't even just think as far as what I said, gas, liquid, solid. It literally says gas, liquid, solid, tells you how the stuff is separated, tell you earth has come into being, tells you that herb yielding seed has come into being, tells you that a sun, moon, and stars has to be put into place, tells you that water has to be there to be operated, tells you that there have to be birds and things to be in the fowl of the air, tells you there's dinosaurs that are even in the waters, by the way, if you know what Tanayan means, if you've ever read it in Hebrew. So a lot of people are doing this weird thing, Christians included, but also people who say that science means that you can't have any type of theology enter into the fray. We're doing this weird thing that doesn't even represent what these things mean. Yes, I think you've gotten that. Yeah, so the stars will be inside of Hakwai. Now, firmament is something you guys use because y'all are in the Greco-Roman deities. I'm not in the Greco-Roman deity, so I don't do Uranus or firmament. I talk about Hakwai, which is a particular thing that means something specific. So yes. You said when they blast off the rocket, where are they going? Once again, if you see that the sun, the moon, the stars are inside of this, then a rocket can go outside of what you would call the atmosphere, because the Hakwai is much further up than just what you call the sky. Once again, as I said earlier, even in this rendition, I don't like the term sky being that high, because y'all think of the sky as having to be something that means that if it's not blue or if it's not inside the atmosphere, it can't be considered to be sky. So let's just take the sky and lower it some, right? And let's think of the sun, moon, and stars of being a lot higher. That's not a problem for me to do, by the way. No, ask genuine questions, ask away. I'm just saying it's a different cultural context, right? It's a different cultural context. Like, so it's difficult to talk about it because people, like, we had these terms. It's like, for example, when I say Hakwai, people don't know the difference between Hakwai and firmament. It's two different theologies, it's two different belief systems. You know what I'm saying? Or like if somebody says Bada shots and somebody says in beginning, it's two different belief systems. They mean something different. If somebody says God and Elohim, it's two different belief systems. It's two different systems, right? If I say, for example, if I say noon, for you, noon represents 12 noon. Why does it represent 12 noon? Well, in Kemet, going back to when somebody was talking about Kemet earlier, in Kemet, they didn't believe that the earth ran around the sun. They believed the sun ran around the earth. So there was a Netzer named Noon, and she would come up, right? And she would get right above their heads. And when she got right above their heads, they called it noon. And then when she kept on going, it was afternoon. Right. So it's a different principle. Like we have a lot of conversations that are so many mixes and matches of cultures that it's kind of difficult for us to get to a certain place in it. Right. But, you know, the Bible has no problem talking about dinosaurs over and over and over and over again. The Bible has no problem. So it's a different context. It's hard culturally to have an in-depth conversation. You said there's no dome. Okay, cool. You totally missed what I'm talking about. You must be just getting on. So I don't know if I'm going to answer that for the fourth time, but I appreciate you. If that's your way of saying hello, we should probably greet each other. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well, even if you disagree. Right. So yes, so it's a lot of different things that people are talking about, and it's not necessarily contextual, right? Because then people go, there is no dome, this and that, or whatever. Well, I mean, the earth is, what is it now, 12 point something billion years, 16 point something billion, 13 point something, whatever your argument is off of whatever module you decide to have. That's not even true, because y'all said that y'all know how old it is according to how many light years it is, but we know that some parts of space move faster than the speed of light. So if some parts of space move faster than the speed of light, then you can't tell me how old it is according to the speed of light. Yeah, thank you, babe. As I was saying earlier, even the CIA admits it. Even NASA admits that there's a layer that they can't get past. So you can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm just telling you that if there's knowledge out there that says this stuff and you can read it for yourself, why do we deny that knowledge? If you're into this whole Eurocentric thing that says if I can't read it because certain people wrote it, and we tell you what those certain people wrote, and you still don't like it, but then you don't even meet up with your own standard. But that's okay. Right? And by the way, even in this, if you notice, the earth is not flat in this. I don't believe it's like a pancake. And this is an artist's rendition to try and get you to see some things as best as they can so that you can see the correlation of the earth. Obviously, this person doesn't believe that the sun is right up on the planet to where you would get burnt up. They're trying to give you they're trying to give you something to help you with a homiletical structure inside of your brain to be able to see what the actual indication is or whatever. Right? So people are arguing the wrong thing. Right? My argument is not that science never happened. My argument is not that dinosaurs couldn't exist. My argument isn't that the earth was made in 24 hours or 6 24-hour periods, because it wouldn't be 7 24-hour periods. It would be 6 because it was finished in 6. But secondly, the word yam, or what you call day, it literally means a period of time. So who knows how long it took for gas to liquefy? and to be enlightened by the Holy Spirit. I don't know how long that took. I just know that was the first period of time. Who knows how long it took for the lower seeds to be separated from the upper seeds? I don't know how long that took and how long it took for the choir to be made. I just know that was the second period of time. Who knows how long it took for the earth to be able to come up and have herb yielding seed be developed? I don't know. Who knows, right? And chlorophyll to come in there, and for it to be ready to have for the chlorophyll and everything to start having sunlight on it. Who knows how long it took for the sun, the moon, and the stars to come into creation? That's the fourth yom, the fourth period of time. Right? So if you believe Yahweh wants you to be able to tell you exactly, well, then you find me exactly where he gives you the answer, right? Because time to him is different. And especially time as we know it. See, time existed. See, even what you're talking about as far as time doesn't even really exist the way you know it until the fourth day. So you can even be talking about how long something took by what you call time, because even though time lasts eternally, right? Eternity came before seasons. And so the sun, the moon, and the stars, according to the word, is made for what? For seasons. To tell you seasons. So people get frustrated by this, right? And we'll just start here tomorrow, right? But people get frustrated by this conversation, but you're having the wrong context. The sun, the moon, and the stars were put in place so that you can know seasons. So before there was years or whatever, as you know it, there was that's the note. Like you can tell the landmark for what year you're in, what time it is, what time of month it is, etc., is by the sun, the moon, the stars. So, and all the stuff you're talking about, you can't even have a conversation about how long something took by days and years and all that until what? Until the sun, the moon, the stars came into existence the fourth day. Then the animals come into place, and then humans come into place. Right? So 2023 is just something that's a man-made invention. I'm not tripping off of 2023. Right? As was said in the comments, I'm not tripping off of 2023. 2023 is just what you use to be able to help you. 2023 is a theory. That's what 2023 is, whether you want to call it after Christ or after Common Era. 2023 is theoretical. It's something that helps you to be able to know where you are. It's something that helps us to be able to say, okay, we can use this to track certain things. But time is different to me than it is to you. In my culture, 2023 is, okay, whatever. Right. We'll come back to this tomorrow, though. Great questions. Thank you all for being on. I appreciate you. I'll see you guys tomorrow on Kofi_43 for those who show up for the Rising Lives. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. We honor the King and Queen in each and every one of you. Even if you're not living inside of that kingdom of queendom yet, we appreciate the potential King and Queen in each and every one of you. As always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless, speaking the unspoken. Please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. As always, just remember that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made, in you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shabbat Shalom. Yes, Shabbat Shalom, because Friday, right, is our actual Shabbat. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you. We hope that y'all are doing well, and we'll talk to you very soon. Take care. And when I was saying we'll be on tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time in the Rising. We'll be on at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time in the evening, and in the Rising at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time, we're on Kofi_43. So not this one, but number 3. And then we'll be back on this same one, Kofi_42 on TikTok. We'll be doing that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care. Appreciate you. Those who have marriage class, talk to you in a couple minutes. All right. Shalom. Peace.